I am your pallbearer. What is up, everybody? Hope you are having an excellent Monday evening. I know I am because, well, I'm hanging out with you fine folks, and we're talking about if you meet Sartana, pray for your death, aka Sartana. Often this movie is referred to as just plain Sartana. I'm going to explain to you why that's not the title. Why it's if you meet Sartana, ... pray for your death. There's a story behind that, but there's a lot of stories behind everything, and we are going to talk about that stuff. And I'm looking forward to discussing it because this is one of the spaghettis that is a bit divisive, and I know exactly why. Because I didn't like it the first time I saw it, I really didn't, and I don't know. I think maybe I was expecting something else. This was when I was in the early days of expanding my spaghetti western horizons. That is to say, when films were becoming a little bit more accessible, right? In this case, I think my first copy of Sartana I got from Luminous Film and Video Works. This was I think, a London-based outfit. Actually, I think it was just one guy who would make VHS rips of Japanese laser discs that he owned, and then would, you'd pay him and he'd ship them to you. And the quality was always fantastic. He'd always let you know what you're getting ahead of time. Also, if there was suddenly an upgrade, all you had to do was mail back your old tape of like Django or something like that, and he would send you the updated version. Wow, those were the old days, man. And I'm not going to talk about Video Search of Miami. But anyway, let's take a quick look at our sponsor, which is, let's see here. If I can avoid boomerang this, is a little comic book that I do. That is called Six Gun Gorilla Long Days of Vengeance. If you like Westerns, if you like comic books, if you like gorillas, obviously, this is the thing for you. I can honestly say that This is a critically acclaimed book. Everybody who reads it loves it. That's not me boasting or being braggadocious. I promise you, that's just because it's just the case. I did not expect that at all. Uh, but my thousands of customers, my thousands of readers have been very satisfied with this book. I don't think I got a single bad review. In fact, got a bunch of great reviews by some visionaries and luminaries. Mike Barron, for instance, he called the book majestic. Joe R. Lansdale gave the book a lot of love. And if you're into weird westerns, you probably know who Joe R. Lansdale is. Anyway, the current campaign is for the Volume 2 trade paperback, which can also you can also buy single issues of issues 9 and 10. Now, if you're totally new to the world of Six Gun Gorilla, don't worry, you can get Volume 1. You can also get the first 8 issues as floppies. More importantly, right here, you can click on free digital download and it will take you to a PDF copy of the very first issue, which you can read 100% free because, well, I always like to give people a chance to kick the tires and see if this is something that they like. So if you want a free comic book, digital comic book anyway, go check this out and, back the book if you are inclined to back the book. It's a good way of supporting this channel and this stream. Anyway, enough of the shilling. Let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's get to Sartana. Okay, Sartana. This was. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, see, I'm boomerang already. Okay. Sartana was one of those names that I'd heard in in newsletters, for instance. So it was like All Western Italiana talked about it a lot. What few books you could find that touched on spaghetti westerns mentioned it, and it was just one of those movies that was out there that I was dying to see, but that was never on television and also never available on VHS. It was a very hard to find film, which is unfortunate because Sartana is probably the most franchisable character in all. He's really, I would say, the only character, aside from maybe the Man with No Name, who has a proper franchise. Of course, there's 1,000 movies named Django. They are not about Django. I think I've discussed this. They would just take whatever Western it was that they were working on or they had just finished, and they would just throw Django in the title just to get butts and seats, just to trick people into thinking they were getting a Django movie when they weren't, which is a very naughty thing to do. False advertising to the max. Let me see if I can bring up the poster. Sartana was a big hit in Europe, big enough to inspire 4 sequels, 4 official sequels. He was created by Gianni Garco, working with Gianfranco Parolini. Now, Parolini, who later went on to do one of the best spaghetti westerns ever, which we covered on the stream some weeks back, Sabata. This wasn't his first western. I think he had done one before this, but it wasn't one of note. And at that time, most of the spaghetti characters were based on either the Man with No Name or Django. And Gianni Garco had done a bunch of westerns, and he was the villain in a movie called Blood at Sundown. That was actually Garco's first western. And in it, he played a character named Sartana. And opposite Anthony Stephan, the star of Django Il Bastardo, which we covered last time on this stream. Anyway, his performance in that is mesmerizing, almost on a Kinski-esque level, very intense. And that character proved so popular that they actually, in Germany, renamed the movie Sartana. Now, audiences were getting tired of, the American cowboy types and, the standard man with no name slash Django knockoff. And they were ready for something different. And I think Parolini and Garco knew that. And so they went with something way more pulpy. Sartana is really the first and maybe the last spaghetti Western superhero. Very much inspired by comic books. This is very much a comic book movie, or that is to say, it's not based on a comic book, but it is inspired by comic books, and it has a very, very comic booky style to it. I think Parolini, he had done like a couple of comic book movies called The Three Fantastic Supermen, and Garco wanted to work with him, and so he wanted to do a new kind of a character. That is to say, somebody that wasn't like the Man with No Name or Django, not somebody that was necessarily, dirty, unshaven, rough around the edges. Sartana is one of the spiffiest dressers in the Spaghetti West for sure. Because, well, here's the thing. We're talking about the Spaghetti West, which is very different from the authentic American West. The Spaghetti Westerns felt so authentic that I remember a friend of mine was watching Tombstone with me, and he was laughing because he's like, look at how well everybody's dressed. They're not all dirty, and this is so unrealistic. And I was like, dude, when Oscar Wilde toured the Old West, he said that it was the best dressed population he had ever seen in his life. That he was expecting to see people, in these frontier towns wearing buckskins and, looking rough around the corners. Instead, they were wearing the latest Paris fashions. Now, Sartana, as you can see here, with his black hat, black cape with a red lining, which is a little Dracula-like, borders on being a dandy. I wouldn't say that he is. He's just a very, very sharp dresser and a gambler. Garco was thinking that he wanted to play, because I think he'd also done two Westerns prior to this, following Blood at Sundown, where he played like a roughneck bounty hunter type. And he wanted to do a character that was a little more ironic, a character that was a little more suave, a little more stylish. And he and Parolini came up with this character who is basically a gambler who pits bad guys against each other. Now, we've seen that before in Yojimbo, of course, but Sartana takes this to a almost artistic level. He is somebody who, like Sabata later on, is a victimizer of victimizers. That is to say, he preys on people that prey on other people, and does so ruthlessly. Garco wanted him to be very elegant and very sophisticated, which he is. He has a very interesting physical manner about him, and let's see. Let me check my notes, right? Because I think the chief inspiration for Sartana was this quote that is a Italian proverb. And I don't have the original Italian, but it translates to, when two parties are fighting, it's the third one watching who wins. And that kind of became the basis for the Sartana character. Like I said, Sartana is more like a comic book Old West superhero. Comic book Old West superhero, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a character like the Lone Ranger. Although the Lone Ranger actually originated in radio, not comic books. But when I was a kid, the DC Westerns were still going. The Marvel Westerns were still going. Jack Kirby did a ton of Westerns before he was doing superhero comics. And my goodness, there was like the Two Gun Kid, the Rawhide Kid, Vigilante for DC, Jonah Hex was a favorite of mine, and probably my favorite, Bat Lash, who was a real scoundrel. Womanizer, cheated at cards, definitely a dandy for sure, very sharp dresser. And Sergio Aragonés, I believe, was the creator of that character. And wow, those I just especially love those. And of course, I love me some Jonah Hex too. There's also a big dose of Lee Falk's Mandrake the Magician in Sartana. Definitely thought to have been an influence. So Sartana is the guy with the mysterious past who is a harbinger of death. He's always associated with gothic and macabre imagery. He's always associated with coffins and funerals and funeral homes and graves and hearses. And his only friend, and I think in any of these films, when he does have like a friend, it's always the town undertaker, who's usually played by Franco Pesci, who was a very old man at the time. He had a very rubbery face, and I think he was actually a cameraman back in the days of silent cinema. So he was definitely a big, a veteran. But I'm getting away from Sartana. So Sartana is always making pronouncements of doom before he kills the bad guys. He's always saying stuff like, "I am your pallbearer," or "I am your gravedigger," or "I will pray for your souls." And he's somebody that's not really so much interested in preventing crime or even protecting people from it. He's just punishing the wicked. He's a guy who preys on evil men. There's a pic of Klaus Kinski, who is also in this film. This poster is interesting because it makes it look as if Kinski is co-starring with Garko, and Kinski is in this and quite terrific, but he has a relatively small role as a knife-throwing killer. So when the film opens up, we are looking at a very apocalyptic desert landscape and riding on a white horse, a pale horse, right? Like death, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah, I know, it's very on the nose. But spaghetti westerns are not known for their subtlety. They're like Gothic literature that way. They're not subtle. They're cranked up to 11. It's they take a very heavy metal approach, really. So we see the figure of Sartana riding behind his coach. Now, I can never figure out if he just happens to be following this coach by chance or if he's protecting them. Because if he's protecting them, he does a very bad job of it. And so you've got this buggy with this old couple, and the wife looks behind her and she sees Sartana, a very kind of spooky looking figure, and she says, "Strange. He looks like a ghost." Or I think she also says, because that's the thing, you have the American versions that are dubbed, and then you have the Italian versions which are subtitled, and very often they don't match. Because I think I remember her saying, "I feel as though a ghost were watching us." And of course, there is something very ghostly about Sartana. So a killer with a Winchester off screen. This turns out to be Klaus Kinski, as we'll discover, as a killer named Morgan, and he shoots these two old folks, kills them ruthlessly, and also appears to shoot Sartana, who slides out of his saddle and slumps to the ground, dead. Of course, he's not. You're not going to kill the hero in the first, minute. But yeah, Klaus Kinski as Morgan. Kinski, of course, always a riveting screen presence. always somebody who, whenever Kinski was in a movie, whenever he was on screen, you could never take your eyes off this guy. He was mesmerizing and intense. He was also, uh, shall we say, uh, uh, mentally unstable. I think he probably had bipolar disorder, but regardless of diagnosis, he had a reputation for exploding on set and screaming at people. One of the funniest stories I heard about him was when he was working on a play in Germany. I think Werner Herzog was directing. This is before they started making their films together. He locked himself in the bathroom for 2 days. And when they finally got the door open, everything in the bathroom, the toilet, the sink, the bathtub, had been pulverized. Uh, there's a really great documentary. I think this is on Tubi too. If you're interested in Klaus Kinski and how out of control he could get and his legendary conniption fits, watch this movie. It's a documentary by Werner Herzog called My Best Fiend. And the stories he tells about Kinski are legendary. I could go off for hours about Kinski. I'm not gonna, because we're not here to talk about Kinski. We're here to talk about Sartana, of course. Hey, Sam, what's up, brother, man? Good to see you, man. And he says, the more you do the show, the more I realize I did not see a lot of Westerns. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that haven't seen a lot of Westerns. There was a time when, in the 50s, for instance, and the early 60s, but mainly during the 50s, almost, the majority of movies were Westerns. Almost every TV show was a Western. This was very convenient and money saving because that meant the studios could always reuse the same sets and the same costumes. They had all the props and their stuntmen, the stunt riders, and everything that could do all this cool stuff. Of course, Clint Eastwood started out as Rowdy Yates on Rawhide, a amiable cowboy character. I remember seeing quite a few Westerns on TV when I was a kid, but they were in syndication. Like I remember The Rifleman, Bonanza, of course, but the Western had pretty much petered out in the 70s, and in the 80s, forget about it. The Western was effectively dead. Every now and then you'll get a Western because actors love to appear in them. Evidently, I mean, shocker, making a Western is like the most fun you could ever have making a movie. And then, of course, making a Western in Italy, according to all the actors who did it, was the most fun they ever had making a film. Because, of course, in the Italians, everybody was equal. Nobody was above anybody else. And instead of having catering, they would all get together and cook. But a lot of people are very new to the Western genre. It's one of the reasons I like doing this stream too, is kind of like the horror stream that I do to kind of introduce folks to these movies. And yes, I did forget to mention, there's a link down below in the description. Click on that and you can see If You Meet Sartana, Pray for Your Death. Absolutely free, unedited, with commercials, but not an obnoxious degree of them. That's to say, you're not going to be like, F this and turn it off. Because I think that these are films that deserve a little more attention. I think in many respects they're sort of buried treasures because they are treasures. So many filmmakers have imitated the spaghetti Western. Tarantino, most recently with his remake of Django. But they can never recapture that magic because, as I maintain, it was all about a time, which is the mid to late 60s to early 70s, a place, Almeria, Spain, and a culture, which was the Italian culture. Of course, obviously inspired by all the westerns, all the American westerns that they'd seen. And the early Italian westerns are pretty much just retreads of American westerns. They're very bland until 1964 happened, and then Sergio Leone was influenced by Japanese cinema and created Fistful of Dollars, which in many I consider the first real spaghetti western. Not it's technically not, but spiritually, yeah. That's where the spaghetti west is created. And the spaghetti west is not like the old west as it's depicted in American cinema at all. It is a much more violent place. It's dirtier, it's meaner, it's nastier. Nobody's safe. Priests will eat a bullet just as well as anybody else. Little kids, Henry Fonda at the beginning of Once Upon a Time in the West shoots a little boy, right? Nobody's safe in these films. They're much darker and they have an apocalyptic feel. And I have always felt like they take place in another dimension. They often have gothic spooky imagery. Sartana, of course, especially more than most. You see quite a bit of Mario Bava, actually, in this. Bava, who did a spaghetti western, I think, called Roy Colt and Winchester Jack. It's completely forgettable. I don't recommend it. So anyway, Kinski's looking very satisfied with himself. And then his boys ride in, and they're looking to, I think they're after a letter, actually, that the old man is carrying. And yeah, like he says, he's our man. Hey, Morgan, we got him. You know, he's our man. And then suddenly he hears a crunching sound behind him. And who is it? Dun, dun, dun. It is Sartana, your angel of death. That's actually one of the titles in the Sartana series. Real quick, the Sartana series. Okay. Thank goodness I have my notes. If you meet Sartana, pray for your death. 1968. The following year, I am Sartana, your angel of death. Have a good funeral, my friend. Sartana will pay. Don't you love these long titles? That was made in 1970, and then also, I guess that was shot back to back with Light the Fuse, Sartana is Coming. Then there's the fifth one, in which it's the only one in which Gianni Garco doesn't play Sartana. Actually, it's George Hilton who plays him, and well, I think not because Garco didn't want to play the part, but because he was had an obligation on another film, and that one's called Sartana's Here. Trade your pistol for a coffin. I have to say, there's not a stinker in the bunch. These are all good movies. These are all entertaining movies. They're of varying quality, naturally, and everybody has their favorites or least favorites. But I really think you could watch any movie in this series and be in good hands. So, yeah, there's Garco giving that mean "I'ma kill you" Sartana look. And let me run a little clip here. Now, folks, when I run video clips, I do have to stop them like every 11 seconds because otherwise they yank the stream off the air. And we don't want that to happen. Yeah, here we go. Check this out. Yeah, there you can see a cowboy stepping on the old woman's glasses. I don't know if that's meant to symbolize a complete disregard for human life. Obviously, killing them shows a disregard for human life, but it sets up what happens afterwards.
Hey, Dom. He's our man. He's our man! You hear, Morgan? He's our man!
Now, if you hear that little bell there, hear that little jingle, Kinski's character, Morgan, has little bells on the ends of his spurs, which make me think, God, if you're a killer and you probably try to creep up on people, that wouldn't be very useful. Although he finds a way to silence his bells. Parolini went on to, of course, do Sabata, and that William Berger plays Banjo, who's a character that's very hippie-ish and walks around with bells on his vest and on his pants, on his fringes. I mentioned the glasses. Yeah. Now he's stepping on a twig to get their attention. Great iconic shot, of course. Sartana looking spooky as hell.
You look just like a scarecrow.
I am your pallbearer.
Yeah. Naturally, they're going to go for the steal. The bad guys slap leather, but naturally, they're not fast enough to get Sartana. Now, this is another thing about Sartana. You see this also with Sabata later on, and Sabata is pretty much Sartana because Parolini had a falling out with the producer of this and ended up not doing the subsequent sequels, and so he created a new character called Sabata. Basically, he just changed a couple of letters in the name, and the character was the same. He carried a four-barreled Dillinger. Some people think that he's inspired by James Bond in that sense, with all of his gadgets. That might be true, but at the same time, these gadgets look as if they're a homemade. Although, to be perfectly honest, there's a really great TV series, documentary series, I highly recommend, called Old West Tech, and they came up with some wacky shit, some very, very bizarre weapons that didn't catch on. So yeah, Dirty Harry carries a big gun. Sartana packs a little gun. It is something that, once again, kind of harkens back to some of these comic book heroes like Mandrake the Magician. Sartana is very much a sleight of hand artist. Naturally, he's very good with cards. And as a matter of fact, in one of them, not this one, he can use them to deadly effect. He actually has cards up his sleeve that he can use as throwing knives. So he has a lot of gadgets, but it's something that definitely adds to the pulp appeal of the character. Yeah, so he blows these guys away. And then Morgan, Kinski's character, sees this and tries taking a pot shot at him and misses, and Sartana returns fire, and Morgan hightails it out of there. Now, Sartana is checking out the bodies. He wanted to see what these guys were after, since there doesn't seem to be, a strong box of loot or anything like that. And he sees that it's a letter from the Wells Fargo Insurance Company. Yeah, this is a plot that you see also in Sabata and some other spaghettis, where the bad guys are bankers who are robbing themselves in order to get the insurance money, right? And naturally, of course, also keep the money that that disappeared. Wink, wink. And so he sets out. Oh yeah, here he's labeled as John Garco. No, it's Gianni Garco. Damn it. William Berger. Yeah. Oh man, the cast in this is fantastic. William Berger played Banjo in Sabata, which we covered a few weeks ago. He was really one of the best spaghetti Western actors. Usually not a lead. I can only really think of one film in which he was the lead, which was one of the dubiously titled Sartana movies. Because Sartana ended up being so popular that they used the name as much as they were using, almost as much as they were using Django. Although there were a couple, I think there were 2 Django meets Sartana movies. And I don't think, I think I tried watching one of them and it wasn't very good. So, yeah, here he's showing off one of his gadgets, which is a cylinder, looks like a top. It's actually loaded with bullets. Ah, yes. Oh, yeah. And Fernando Sancho. Oh, boy. I can't wait to talk about Fernando Sancho. Sometimes it's not a spaghetti Western unless you got Fernando Sancho in it. And you definitely, if you got a Mexican bandito or a general in your spaghetti Western, Fernando Sancho's your man. Now, famously, I don't think there was a single Mexican actor who ever played a Mexican in a spaghetti Western. Even when the hero was Mexican, like in Requiescant, he was played by Lou Castel, and who I think is French. And I think Robert Woods played My Name is Pecos, and it was in the sequel, Pecos Cleans Up. The only Mexican actor to ever play a Mexican in a spaghetti Western was Gilbert Roland. And he's in 2 of these. He's in Any Gun Can Play and Johnny Hamlet, playing the evil uncle figure. Yeah, here they're saying, and the special participation of Klaus Kinski. They misspelled Homeboy's name. You're like hyping up, and the special participation of, and then you can't spell the Homeboy's name right? What the hell? So yeah, here are the bankers who are eager to rob themselves and collect the insurance money. There's Fernando Sancho. If you're a spaghetti Western fan, you know him, you love him. He's in so many of these. And so he's in cahoots with the evil bankers. And yeah, here this character is saying, we may be equal partners, General, but I despise your attitude. You know, he's the scumbag banker criminal who doesn't like to think of himself as a scumbag banker criminal. Directed by Frank Kramer. That was, of course, the nom de plume of Gianfranco Parolini. Mario Bava, I think, was John Old. Antonio Margheriti was Anthony M. Dawson. All of these directors had American-sounding pseudonyms. Oh, what up, World of Conan? Thank you for tuning in. Great movie. You know, I think so too. Although I know that a lot of people don't like it, and Alex Cox actually in this volume, 10,000 Ways to Die, really slams it. And he, of course, you know, Alex Cox, he always has to get like a little political. He calls Sartana the perfect Western hero for the Thatcher Reagan era. Really? Come on now. But, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And, you know, of course, you know, much love to Alex Cox for being one of the scholars that has helped give these movies some of the love and some of the publicity that they so richly deserve. And I think, yo, what's up, Phil? Good to see you, man. Who you calling cowpoke? Good to see you, man. Let's see. Let me run the trailer here real quick. Let's see. Here we have another couple. It's well, not a real couple. A woman and a priest who are traveling in another coach, and this fellow's riding with them. And suddenly they're attacked by Mexican. I can't even speak tonight. Hold on a sec. Let me wet my whistle here. Mexican bandidos. And so they run up on them. Yeah, it's El Moreno's gang. El Moreno becomes even though he gets killed at pretty much the beginning of this, he becomes an important character. So this woman's asking this guy for help, and he's like, okay. And he ends up blasting both her and the priest. And then he gets blasted by El Moreno. And then El Moreno, his crew, gets up getting blasted by William Berger. And William Berger's character, Lasky, in this is a lot like Ramon from Fistful of Dollars. Well, not really. He's actually very different, but they have one thing in common. Ramon was always aiming for the heart, and Lasky is always aiming for the head. And as significant as that was to the plot in Fistful of Dollars, it's also significant to the plot of this. I think if you've seen Fistful of Dollars, you know where I'm going with this. So he's just picking he and his boys are just picking these fools off. He hits El Moreno in the head. And then, tells his boys, like, hey, I'll meet you with the loot down at a watering hole that they know is nearby. Now, Sartana has seen this too. And walking amongst the bodies, he finds a musical watch that belonged to El Moreno. And that becomes a very significant prop in this film. It's something he ends up using to torment the villains. And so these fellows, then, his boys are, they're ready to divvy up the gold. Lasky's not here. Well, fuck Lasky. We should just let's divvy up the loot amongst themselves. But he's already one step ahead of them, and has a Gatling gun and is just wasting these fools, mowing them down. Now, I think I mentioned in a previous stream that it's rare that you see an authentic Gatling gun in an Italian Western. They're always these contraptions that were made up, I guess, on the fly. Since I imagine authentic Gatling guns probably weren't that easy to come by, so the prop departments whip these up, and they get the job done. They certainly look real enough. I love the absolute crazed look in William Berger's blue eyes here. He looks completely psychotic. Berger, great charismatic actor. He was in the film that we discussed last week, Keoma, as Keoma's father. Even though he was only 13 years older than Franco Nero, they put him in very good, very convincing old age makeup. Evidently, Berger was a bit of a hippie. I think his career hit a major stumbling block when he got busted for possession of heroin in Italy, and I think ended up doing like a year or something behind bars. But yeah, he evidently had substance abuse issues, but he also lived to be pretty old. So hopefully he cleaned his act up. So he's ready to get the loot. And then, of course, the loot, what is it? The strongbox is full of rocks. And then suddenly he hears the chimes of El Moreno's musical watch. And so it's echoing, right? It's like there's no way that a musical watch could be this loud, but it's echoing through this area, and he's quite haunted by it. And then, of course, we see that it's in Sartana's hands, and that he's using it very effectively to mess with Lasky and to put some fear into him, because, of course, fear is a great tactic in warfare, because when people are afraid, they're not thinking straight. Oh, yeah. And so Fernando Sancho as Mendoza, shows up and, is mourning the death of these poor individuals that we saw killed earlier. And he always makes a point in this film to let you know that his full name is Don Jose Francisco Mendoza Montezuma Rio de la Plata Perez Rodriguez. Yes. Also known as General Tampico. Yes. Salutes the first citizens of Gold Spring. Yeah, Gold Spring is the name of the town. Obviously, a town that popped up around a gold mine, as so many of these towns did. They also popped up around other precious metals like, copper, tin, nickel, you name it. Yes, back in the old days, coins were made out of the metal that that they were named after. Nickel was made out of nickel. So he decides to throw in on a card game that Lasky is playing in. And of course, he's got a fat wad of cash. And then we see his skill with the cards. Now, this is obviously, probably almost certainly not Garco. They got some guy that's like a master, a cardsman, to fold them and, like a magician. But it's one of the things that makes this character, once again, a little bit like Lee Falk's Mandrake the Magician. Makes him very much like a comic book Western superhero, is his flair for sleight of hand. And so he cleans up, and these fools naturally accuse him of cheating. Where are you going with our money? And he ain't too happy about that. I think maybe I have a clip of this scene. Let me see. Everybody that's hanging out, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. Smash that like button if it's not a bother. And click the subscribe and ring a ding ding dong, the little bell for notifications. Yeah, let's see here. No, I don't think I have this scene. But you know what? Let's take a look at the trailer.
You're Paul Bearer.
It's worth mentioning also, as I did at the beginning of the stream, that these films were incredibly hard to find. Arrow Video recently came out with, recent meaning like in the last couple of years, the definitive Sartana collection, which is five discs, 5 Blu-rays of all of the films. And they're absolutely gorgeous transfers. You can't go wrong with those. Now, the music you hear there doesn't sound like Western music. It sounds more like the music you would hear in an Italian horror film from the period. And that is not by accident. And there, of course, there's Sartana, like the angel of death, on his white horse. Yeah, that's the scene that I was just talking about. Yes, of course. one of the main appeals of Sartana is how mysterious and actually inscrutable he is. In this film, you can't really figure him out until the very end. And once you do figure him out, of course, the cat's out of the bag. And in the sequels, he's a different character. I mean, not entirely different, but let's say he has a different approach.
You sure got the smell of a bounty killer. You ain't no country parson, that's for sure.
Yeah, that old man right there was, I think, Frank Pesci? Let me check my notes so I don't make a fool out of myself here. He was a cameraman, actually, in the olden days of silent film, silent cinema. So he was there at the very beginning of Italian cinema. And, he had this very rubbery face. And he plays the Undertaker in this and also in one of the other, in one of the sequels, although off the top of my head, I can't remember which one. And like I said, Franco Pesci, that's his name, Franco Pesci. Whenever Sartana has a friend, whenever he has a friend, which isn't often, it's always the Undertaker.
Sure.
His wary footsteps seemed like those of a coyote snuffling for corpses. I'm not sure where that comes from. I wonder if that comes from the script. Yeah, I mentioned El Moreno's musical watch and the chimes. Yeah, that's it. Right. A speculation as to who he is. The Undertaker, for instance, says, you smell like a bounty killer, but maybe you're an insurance agent, like a Pinkerton or something like that. He's, obviously mysterious. There, of course, we have the great Fernando Sancho, who I mentioned before, who is your go-to in spaghetti westerns for Mexican bandidos, and in this case, a general.
Sartana? Sounds like a sidewinder.
Man, I don't know about you fellas. That is assuming you're all fellas. I mean, ladies too. I love the underwear from that period. I think it looks cute as hell. And the whole feel of this feels like a horror trailer. It doesn't feel like a Western trailer at all.
Sartana has the proof against you. I know nothing.
Now, of course, I did Django Il Bastardo, I think last week, which is one of the horror spaghettis. I don't know if I would consider this in the horror spaghetti genre. This feels more like a comic book superhero spaghetti than anything else. And Sartana, of course, like I said, very much inspired by Lee Falk's Mandrake the Magician, and definitely feels like one of those characters, like the Lone Ranger, like Batlash, like Jonah Hex. Feels like he comes out of a comic book. And I know that Parolini and Garco both said that this film was heavily influenced by comic books, and they wanted it to be kind of like a motion picture translation of a comic book. Booyakasha! I have to say also the budget on this is pretty nice. The sets are all big and nice looking. The saloon in particular, not that this was a big spectacle like Once Upon a Time in the West or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or something like this, but this was definitely not a B Western. Or just a rattlesnake.
Hey!
Yeah, this is the scene I was mentioning right here, where Sartana steps out of the saloon, and these fools, and that's what they are, they're fools because they're messing with Sartana, and they want their money back, and he turns around and he makes this what I would call a prestidigitacious gesture. That is to say, the kind of sleight of hand gesture that a magician would do. But let's check out once again.
Royal straight flush.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool trailer. I like that one. Yeah, I think it's really interesting because once again, it feels like a horror trailer, and this movie does become a little more gothic and macabre as it progresses. There we get a good look at his four-barreled Dillinger, and oh yeah, Lasky, William Berger's character, gets a bunch of his boys to, let me put it this way: there's a lot of double crossing in Sartana, double and triple crossing, backstabbing, sidewinding. No good, bushwhacking, a lot of that. And I think it's one of the things that people don't like about this film. The people that don't like it, I think they feel that it's just a little needlessly complex. And that is to say, in terms of its plotting. I don't think it is. Let me put it this way. It can be a little difficult sometimes to keep track of like who's screwing who, basically. And so, yeah, he gets these guys to run into a house where they think he is. He's got dynamite stacked up there, and booyakasha! That blew up real good. What can I say? I like seeing. Look, I'm a male. I like seeing shit blow up. God, I can't wait to like one of these days. Hopefully, I have a patch of land where I can blow shit up and shoot guns and be a cowboy. And so he's elated, and whenever Lasky is elated, that means that Sartana is going to be there in the next second to piss on his parade. And once again, he hears El Moreno's watch and is looking around, quite spooked. Let me get a little drink here. Wet my whistle. So where were we? Yeah. Oh, hey, Sim's hanging out. What up, Sim?
What's that?
How you doing, brother, man?
How come your screen's all black?
Is my screen all black?
From my end. Let me go see you on the stream. No, on the stream you're fine. It's just here.
Okay, all right. I thought maybe they yanked me because I was playing the trailer for this.
No,
how are you doing?
Fine.
Oh, dude! Once again, thank you so much for that 6-gun gorilla piece that you did, man. That thing is beautiful. I love that. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, my boy Sim here, he did a absolutely beautiful kind of parody poster with Six Gun Gorilla, a parody of the Day of Anger poster. And if you've ever seen that poster, it's pretty badass. And everybody go check out Tales from the Natverse 2. That's on the Indiegogos right now. Same place you can find Six Gun Gorilla. So,
I'm
dude.
sharing it right now if you want to show it.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, yeah, there it is. Hold on. Sweet.
I did a little Lucky Luke in there.
Oh, you did? Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
And, you know, it says after Frank McCarthy.
Nice.
And I took some liberties.
Yeah, you
I think
think?
it came out nice.
Oh, it came out beautiful, dude. I actually remember when you did like the rough version of this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so cool.
Then I later went in and I drew the building like this.
Nice.
That was nice. Anyways, that's the piece.
Yeah. Lucky Luke, of course. Was that a French comic book character?
Yes, it is. It's a French comic book. Yeah, the fastest shooting cowboy in the West.
Yeah.
He's so fast that he can shoot faster than a shadow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That he can shoot a shadow.
Yeah, I know that Terrence Hill played him in a series of TV movies, I think.
No, it was one movie.
Oh, was it?
It was one movie, Lucky Luke, and then there was Vincent Cassel that played him too as well, I think. Then there was there's a few movies of him. One's called The Daltons, which is technically the best one.
Yeah.
It's named after the four brothers that are like the robbers and stuff like that, the bad guys.
Yeah.
The Daltons, but the Lucky Luke in there is pretty goddamn sweet.
Is that a French movie?
Yeah, but you have it in English.
What era is that from?
Oh, hold on, let me go check.
Yeah, I mean, not to give you the third degree, but I'm curious. Needless to say, but yeah, I mean, I was talking about how the Western comic books. All right, so that's new. Actually, wasn't that around the time that the Blueberry movie came out?
Maybe. Hold on. The Daltons came out in 2005 by Philip Heim. Yeah.
Now, what did you think of the Blueberry movie?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I have that. I don't know. I have trouble with movie adaptation usually.
Yeah, it's
especially of French comics.
Right.
I haven't seen the Blueberry one because I haven't found a good copy of it, and if I'm not mistaken, it's Vincent Cassel that's playing him.
Yes, it was wonderfully cast.
And I know a lot of people love those books, but I never really read the comic book.
Oh yeah, no, those are great. Those are really good. The movie kind of takes after the later ones as opposed to like the early ones, right? Because the early ones are just like pretty much just straight Western comics. And then when Mobius came back to the character, well, he wasn't just Jean Giraud anymore. He was Mobius.
And it was mainly sci-fi. But like I said, I grew up with Lucky Luke, and Lucky Luke was my cowboy with Need to Swim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So he was to you what the Lone Ranger was to me, I suppose. Because I love me some Lone Ranger.
But I don't know. There's another thing that they did that was pretty good is the French did 2 movies, but they made more, but only 2's worth watching.
Okay.
Asterix and Obelix.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Isn't there a new one that's coming out? Or did that already?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I heard about it that it was supposed to be coming. Like they did a new Three Musketeer movie, the French. That looked decent.
Oh, really?
But, yeah.
Nice. I love me some Dumas. I love me some Three Musketeers. I still haven't seen the one that they did with the Hong Kong fight choreography. It was called The Musketeer.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Is that any good? Because the trailer looked dope.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't really remember, but I remember watching it. I remember them jumping around, and then you had the fighting Scarlet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I can enjoy eye candy or stuff like that. You know me. There's movies that people hate that I enjoy.
Oh, same. Yeah, same here. The movie I'm talking about tonight, Sartana. A lot of people didn't like it. I actually didn't like it the first time I saw it. Now, be aware, like the
I don't know.
blueberry.
Most movies you've been showing off lately here. I haven't seen any of them, and I think I missed the one where you did some, Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill, and I'm like, God damn it! That's like that was like the only show that I should have been here.
Well, hey, look, Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill.
Sorry, guys, I'm not a used Western fan. I like a few of them, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's totally.
I love
cool.
Tombstone. I love a few other ones. I love the Clint Eastwood ones. But I'm very.
We
picky.
do not hate on people who are not Western fans or not spaghetti Western fans here.
Terrence Hill was awesome. He did a few good ones. And Bud Spencer was my man. Come on.
Oh,
I look like that, motherfucker. Except I'm short.
Actually, he looked almost exactly like my dad.
Yeah.
when my father had his beard. He was a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Bud Spencer, Terrence Hill. Actually, the first movie that they were in, I think maybe I'll do that next week. Was God Forgives, I Don't, and that was a big success. So they did a sequel called Ace High. That's really good. That's with Eli Wallach, and then they did a third one called Boot Hill. That's also really good. And but those are still proper westerns, but there was that chemistry between them. And then the Trinity movies came out, and that's what turned them into the worldwide box office sensation slapstick comedy duo.
Okay, I just found something. You ask, and
Yes.
you shall receive.
Okay,
Give me a second. Boom,
You got it,
boom,
brother.
Boom, boom.
thank you, Jason. Thanks for tuning in.
There you go. You asked for it.
Okay,
Share my screen.
I asked for it.
Hold on.
Tu seras moins souriant quand tu seras face aux 4 bandits les plus recherchés de l'Ouest. Alors donne-moi le D! Donne-moi le A! Donne-moi le L! Donne-moi le T! Car nous sommes les Daltes.
Ah,
Non, on n'est pas les. Toi, tu dis donne-moi le Da. Toi, t'es le Le. Toi, tu dis donne-moi le To. Et moi, le Ne. Da. Le. To. Ne.
this looks great.
Their name.
On est les deux.
This looks great, man. So it's like a Lucky Luke adaptation, but it's focused more on the villains.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's the guy that's hunting them.
Oh my god!
So they're running away from him, but he's the law. And yeah, it's weird. They made a movie of Lucky Luke. They made more than I think two of them or something like that.
Yeah.
But they were
Yeah.
But the best rendition was that one. You're like, okay, fair enough, because they went more comedy. It's the same thing they did with Asterix. When they did the first movie, they tried to go too serious, so people were like, "Yeah, it's good," but then the second one, they went like technically Austin Powers.
Yeah.
So they went full comedy on it, and it was amazing.
Well, I mean, I would think those are comedy comics. Why would you want to make those like serious and asterisk serious in any way, shape, or form? Seriously, that just seems misguided to me. That's the same way, like if you made a dead serious Lucky Luke movie. Trying to think. Now, did you ever read any like the Marvel or the DC Western comics, like Jonah Hex or the Rawhide Kid or the Two Gun Kid or Vigilante or that stuff?
I think I have the Rawhide Kid #1 or something, or no, Cold Boy or something. I have some of them, but like I said, like I was a big Zorro fan and all shit, and I don't know, like it's weird. I like Western. I'm just not a Western movie fan. It's weird, but it's like
that's fine.
I like sci-fi, horror, and everything else before I would I would pick up a western. Maybe
Well,
because I grew up with a lot of western around me, so to me it's kind of like it was everywhere. If
Right.
you get my drift.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was
Horror,
everywhere
not
too.
so much, and after that you go seeking other stuff. But if you watch TV, it was either like the classic action heroes, which is like cowboys in modern age, or
Yeah.
you had all those freaking Clint Eastwood replays and stuff like that. Or what's the name of that freaking movie there with the orangutan?
Oh, Every Which Way But Loose.
Yeah, I love that movie. But that's the type of movie I grew up with Bandit and stuff like that. So you know what I mean? It's kind of like
Yeah. The thing about westerns is that it was a genre that had gotten really freaking tired. And
I think when I really got into like watching old movies and stuff like that, like it went that way the same way as horror.
Yeah.
Because horror was like innovative and this and that until everything was the same.
Yep.
Everything was cookie cut. Like it's always the same story. Oh, you kill my brother, but your brother tried to kill me first. I don't care. You killed my brother.
Right.
You should have let him kill you, and there you go. Here's a western.
Yeah, I mean
they're not all like that. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that was a big generic thing.
Yeah. Look, a lot of the American westerns, and I love a lot of the American westerns. Shane, so many of the Searchers.
I like El Topo. See, that's what I'm saying. I like really like obscure or different type of freaking western.
Well, if these films are spaghetti westerns, El Topo, for those of you who haven't seen it, is a peyote western. It's like, and actually, that was also.
What the hell's the difference? One's made by an Italian, and the other one's made by a French guy that's from, where is it again?
Russia,
Chile.
Right. His family was from Russia or Russian stock, and then I think he was born in Chile.
He's from Chile, but grew up in lived in France most of his life. Yeah.
Right. He's one of those dudes that's like a world citizen. Really.
Why do you think he's so spiritual about everything and he's 90-something and still kicking?
I know. That man's a legend and an icon, man.
That guy made so much did so much LSD that I think he's immortal.
He's one of those guys oh God, I'm trying to think.
That's what I mean by spiritual. Like, I'm doing air quotes. Because he's that type of spiritual from the 60s, 70s,
Yes.
Experimental.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's like one of those guys, like I would love to smoke one of his hairs. Right? See what happens.
And make tea with just one sample of his hair.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I don't know, I'd love to just freaking like get the chance to work on one thing with that guy.
Oh my God.
Him and fucking Druyet that's still alive and kicking.
Oh my God. Yeah, we all have those dudes. We all have those people that like, oh like, God, please.
What would you like to do? Batman at Marvel DC? No, I want to do this. This is the type man. I would like to fucking do a Lone Sloan guy. Get me on. I would have been totally on for doing the sequel of freaking Meta Baron.
Oh, dude. Could you imagine? Oh, that would be a dream project for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me,
I would have been gone for a few years, just freaking.
Bye, see ya. I'm just gonna lock myself in this room and just make like the best comic I could possibly make. Oh man, yeah. For me, it's Mike Ploog. If I could, I'm still hoping one of these days if I could just get him like maybe to do like a cover or something.
You mentioned that I have a Mike Ploog book right here.
Let's check it out. Ooh, I do not have that.
It's a miniseries and it's painted. It's by him. It's by him, Reed, and colors painted by Bisley. So the colors are painted by Bisley.
I know exactly what that is, and I do not have it. It's one of those things where I was just like, that exists? Like, oh shit, let me get it, and then it's like, shit, it's out of print.
It's like when I found this.
Yeah.
Full Circle. Nobody knows what it is. Well, it's by Simon Reed and Simon Bisley. Full Circle, the first series, and Full Circle number 2.
Nice. Oh man, look at that cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like pure business.
Like everybody's seen those images somewhere, but nobody knew there was a book. I found them on eBay during the entire like lockdown and shit.
Oh man, yeah.
I was like, "What the hell is this?" Then I do.
That
It's like it's their own imprint or something, self-published. Like it's very little numbered.
Man,
Don't mind me. I'm eating at the same time.
No, you're good. You're good, brother. I appreciate it. I appreciate that you stopped in. Yeah. One thing about the Blueberry movie that I forgot to mention. You want to? Oh, what you got there? Pizza. Oh yeah, and some chips. Oh man, that looks good. Yeah, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, boy. Making me hungry now. God damn it. But yeah, the thing I forgot to mention about the Blueberry movie, it is actually Jodorowsky like, because the last entire half hour of the movie is like a psychedelic acid trip.
But I haven't seen it. I just haven't got the chance to like. It's something like, oh, I need to see one day.
It's not a must. I'm not like, oh, you need to see that, but it's interesting. Like if you're a Blueberry fan like me, then you want to check it out. Is it a really solid adaptation of the comics? I don't think so, but it's certainly not bad, and it's got Vincent Cassel, who's like great in everything. Oh, there's on Tubi actually. There's an adaptation of the Gothic novel The Monk.
But it's weird. Like they played in so many freaking comic book adaptations. His wife, what's his name? What's her name again?
His wife?
His wife, the Italian goddess that played Cleopatra and played in the Matrix. Like she's so goddamn gorgeous.
Smoking fucking hot. Monica Bellucci?
Yes.
He's married to her?
He was.
Oh, lucky mother effer, man.
I know. And she's the one that played Cleopatra in the freaking Obelix movie, the second one that I told you about.
Yeah.
Oh,
smoking hot, man. Smoking hot.
And there's another movie that I told you about. You should definitely check, called The Dubberman.
The Dubberman?
Vincent Cassel. Yeah, it's the
oh, that's from like the early 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Called The Dubberman, and yeah, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, because that's on my list. It's on my to watch list for IMDb. You know, they have like a little thing.
It has that French actor that we all love to hate. That was in a lot of movies.
Well, not Belmondo.
No, another one. He played in a lot of the movies. Like he plays that French guy that's always like a police officer. Or something.
Chechi Cario.
I think so. Hold on.
I think he's one of those guys. Like I know I'm mangling his name. Like Chechi Cario. That's like how I pronounce it. I'm sure I'm mangling it.
I think he plays a French guy in a lot of shit. But he's not even French.
Yes. Yeah.
He's Russian or something.
Yeah. Like he plays like a French guy in the Transporter series.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, somebody's asking him like
that's him. Yep.
So it's like somebody's asking Jason Statham, like, oh, is this guy your friend? It's like, I don't know if I'd say he's a friend. He's French. I love those movies, man. I wish they'd made more of those. I found those like really entertaining. Those were like more like the James Bond than like the James Bond movies, at least like the new ones, I thought. But yeah.
It's just called Dubberman, and it was made in 1997.
That is on my list. I'm definitely going to see if I could check that out. It's so awesome now because it's like there's so many pictures that used to be impossible to find. One, the guy who directed that new version of Beauty and the Beast, which I really didn't care for, that had Vincent Cassel. And Brotherhood of the Wolf. He had done.
I love Brotherhood of the Wolf. That was freaking good.
Very good. But he had done a movie called Crying Freeman after the manga and the anime. And it was really, really, really good. But for some reason, it never got released here in the United States. And it was like really hard to find. And if you can find that, because I think now it's way more accessible, check that out. It's got Mark Dacascos, who plays the Indian brother in Brotherhood of the Wolf, and there's like really great the action sequences in that are pretty dope.
Mister, you're gonna love me. I'm gonna put that in the private chat. I just found you the Doberman, but with English subtitles.
Oh yeah,
on the YouTubes.
Oh hell yeah! Damn, that's just it's so great. You can like find anything almost. Hell yeah.
Don't reshare it too much before, otherwise I don't get striked.
I know
until you watch it.
Oh no, that's just for me. That's just for me, son.
That's why I put it in there. Like, go watch it before you share it.
Yeah, before he gets ganked. Yeah, I'm definitely like, okay, I know what I'm watching tonight. For sure. But yeah, the thing with the spaghetti westerns, I think that you would probably find those more to your liking because they don't feel like regular westerns. They feel like they're I don't know, set in like some kind of bizarre netherworld.
But that's what I was saying. Like, watching the show, I'm realizing there's a lot I haven't seen, and then some of them look tempting. Like, I like the visuals there.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, like what's great is as this movie progresses, it becomes a little bit more like a horror film. Like here in the Undertaker's workshop, this looks like something out of a Mario Bava movie, right? There's like a hearse and a coffin.
I like Western movie. I think the best way of explaining it is this. I like Western movie when it's more of an era movie. When it's considered more of an era. Like it's done in Western years. Like there's werewolves back then. Or there's this back then. You know, stuff like this.
Yeah.
Than having just the regular Western setup of the bad guy back, that feels like the classic video game of, here's the big boss.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I mean, that's the thing that's so great about the Western as a genre is that it mixes well with other genres, particularly horror. Heroic fantasy is like that too. Like heroic fantasy plus horror, that's like peanut butter and chocolate, right?
But it's
there.
like the principle of spaghetti western doesn't just apply to western. You could say we have spaghetti western sci-fi. We have spaghetti
absolutely. Oh, like The Mandalorian, for instance, has a very spaghetti western vibe to it, or at least it did. And of course, instead of having the man with no name, you have the man with no face. Yeah,
the underdog, the mysterious guy that's going to take on the big bad guy and his crew of croonies and save the damsel in distress.
Absolutely,
it's like watching Mario Brothers.
Yep. Have you seen that yet? People say that that's awesome.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a big Nintendo fan, so I'm not like the video games don't. I
was not a big Nintendo fan, but I always had fun playing Mario Brothers with people. So.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. I remember as a kid actually playing Donkey Kong when that first came out. I was there from the beginning, damn it. Mario Kart.
I played Pong and Burger Time and Prince of Persia.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget seeing Pong for the first time in an airport when I was a little kid, and it was just like these two bars and this dot. Boop,
I even remember
like, whoa,
when they went around everywhere trying to show us the virtual reality game. And then after that, the movie The Lawnmower Man comes out, and it looks exactly like that virtual game.
Yeah,
it was like stairs that was upside down, and you would run after each other. It was just cubes. And you could pass your hand, and you had a gun in your hand, and you just have to run after people in stairs that were upside down everywhere. And
now you see this
boring
is
as hell.
Yeah. Well, it's just amazing when you look at Pong, and now like I was playing.
They tried to relaunch that like 5 times ever since. And I even remember you had the carpet with a circle ring around you, exactly like the last time they tried. It never fucking sticks. I don't know why.
What is this? Pong?
No, the 3D virtual game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I think it's one of those things that they still need to work the kinks out of.
They tried in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000, and now they tried again.
Here's the thing. I don't like the idea of having glasses, right? Like the goggles, and having like video monitors that close to my eyes.
Yeah.
Like that, something about that makes me feel uncomfortable. Like something tells me that probably wouldn't be very good for your eyes, or that you probably couldn't do it for very long. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you could maybe play for like a half an hour or something like that, and afterwards you'd be like spaced out.
Or having to move and run on a sliding carpet.
Oh my God. What I'm really looking forward to is, with the motion sensors, like having like a really good like kung fu game where you can like block and hit. I think they've tried that, but I don't think they have that yet.
Yeah, there's a problem. You don't know kung fu and you can't do those moves.
Right.
So
but if you had a game that could teach you.
Imagine going to play Mortal Kombat and you can't even lift your leg up to your higher than your waist.
I know, but think about how great it would be too if they could actually teach you how to do a hungar or karate or something like that.
Yeah.
Via a video
You still
game.
need to get in shape before you play that video game.
Yeah, because then you fuck yourself up. A lot of people getting injured. Well, I remember hearing like with the Wii, like a lot of people were like throwing their elbows out.
What the fuck are you warming up for? I'm going to play Mortal Kombat. Seriously?
Right? You're in the gym banging weights and everything. Gotta get ready for that video game. Now, see, here's Sartana shows that he's a man after my own heart, because he basically uses this young lady, this prostitute, to like rope these suckers and literally rope them in when they come to grab him.
That reminds me of the Jonah Hex animated movie. Sorry, go.
Oh man, I love that animated short that they had for DC Showcase. But yeah, it's just like, she thought that he was setting her up for something really kinky, and so she's like, so she's all disappointed, and then he's just like, smack that. Oh,
give me some more.
He has to. It's like even Sartana's got to say, "Baby got back."
His anaconda wanted some.
His anaconda wanted some because she has buns, son.
Bun?
Fernando Sancho, he eats a lot in these movies, very sloppily. I was saying before, like if you have a Mexican bandito character in your spaghetti, it's almost always this guy.
But it used to also be a classic thing they used to give to those. Do you remember the royalty that was crooked and very like hedonistic or greedy? It's a sign of greed that they're always eating while the other ones can't even afford it.
Right. The whole let them eat cake thing.
And they wasted it, yeah.
Right. We'd rather dump it over our heads than share it with you.
I want power.
Yeah. He's one of those guys. He's always chewing the scenery, but I mean, that's kind of what he's there for.
He reminds me of that guy in Galaxina.
What's his face?
The nachos, the Doritos guy?
Yes. Fuck. No.
I can't remember his name.
Avery Schreiber.
There you go.
Yes. Avery Schreiber. Which means which is a German name. It means writer. So yeah, I was mentioning before that this has like one of the fake one of the counterfeit Gatling guns that you see a lot in these movies, because rather than I guess send away a mail order or something for like an actual Gatling gun, they just would build these things in their prop department. But it's convincing enough. Gets the job done. At least, yeah. Towards the end of the picture, it turns more and more like a horror film, and the lighting looks more like a Mario Bava movie or something. Let me see. I think I may have I
like the aesthetic.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things I love about the spaghettis is that it's a subgenre, but it has subgenres within the subgenre. And one of the subgenres that I'm especially fond of are the horror spaghettis, because there's quite a few of them. And I think that was largely because it was horror films that were all the rage before the spaghettis. And so you had a lot of directors who had a lot of experience directing horror movies and were now doing westerns. And so that stuff just bled over very nicely.
But there's a lot of people that like westerns. Like, it's one of the things that there's no genre that defines everything.
Right.
Because look, just Galaxina was supposed to be a spaghetti western in space.
Right.
What is it again? Fire.
I'm sorry?
What was his name again?
I'm sorry, I booted you by accident there for a second.
Yeah, I blanked out. What was the name? Fire something by Whedon.
Firefly.
Firefly, thank you. Firefly. That's totally a spaghetti western in space.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that do that type of thing. So it's like the horror aspect is very linked to the aspect of freaking western as horror and sci-fi. Like we've talked before, like when we did the horror talk thing.
Yeah.
First a horror, one of the biggest horror story success, Frankenstein's actually the first sci-fi story ever.
Absolutely.
It can mix on a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, what the question is always tone, right? Like Alien. Is Alien a horror movie or is it a science fiction movie? Of course, it's both, but it's more a horror movie because it's like, well, what's it designed for? It's designed to fucking scare the shit out of you.
Depends. The first one, totally horror.
Yeah,
second one totally sci-fi.
Fiction. Yep. Yeah, I always say that Aliens is more like Starship Troopers than Starship Troopers.
Dude, the Space Marines.
Going on another bug hunt.
They're Space Marines. It's 40K.
Although the thing that drove me crazy about the actual Starship Troopers movie was that they didn't have the armor. They didn't have the MI armor, which was, to me, such an essential part of Starship Troopers. Now, everybody's saying that like Henry Cavill is going to do like this 40K like series. I don't see like how that's possible because the 40K universe is a universe where basically it's like you have the bad guys and the worst guys, right? It's too on PC.
It's too on PC, but it's also the fact that there's no good guys.
Yes,
there's just like invaders or not invaders, but they all want to invade each other.
Right.
Nothing's like everything's black and white.
Right. And that's why I've trouble seeing that as a movie or a TV franchise.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, look,
maybe they'll go the animated one. I don't know if did they say that it was going to be live action?
Yeah, like Henry Cavill supposedly is negotiating. I say it's never going to happen because I think Henry Cavill is done. I think Henry Cavill is going to be making movies for the Daily Wire.
Really?
In a couple of years. Yeah, I think he's finished because they Hollywood hates his guts. They really, really hate that guy. I don't know why. Maybe it's because like he doesn't virtue signal enough, or he
used to date Gina Carano.
Yes, I think that's also an issue. I think that's a big issue because for some reason they hate his guts.
Yeah, remember when you did the thing of you stop dating, he's upgrading his computer.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. During the whole Me Too thing, he's like, I'm bunkering. I ain't going out there. I ain't talking to any women. Nope. No siree, Bob. And yeah, so I think that also pissed them off. He's just one of those people like Chris, what's his face from the Chris Pratt. Like they really hate that guy too. Once again, it's not for anything specific that he said or did. It's just they don't like him because they think maybe he voted.
Well, he's very vocal about being a Christian, so they don't like that.
Yeah, they don't like that for sure.
They called him out on him multiple times.
Yeah, the worst, Chris.
No conspiracy, by the way, YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't know. Hollywood is freaking crazy. But yeah, you see the influence of the spaghettis in so much stuff. You see it in science fiction. You see it in action films.
But it's the principle of every story. That's what I was telling you. It's like There's a bad guy that takes power. Somebody says that takes a stand and goes to fight. It's like standing tall. It's like it's the classic story. Like when they say all stories been told, that's
Yes.
what they mean. All like core stories are told because it's based on life.
Yep.
But after that, how you say it's totally different.
Exactly. And
that looks like I like the says they look lived in. I don't know. Like I haven't watched the movie, but I've been watching the show. So
oh, okay, I appreciate that, dude. It's definitely worth a look. A lot of people don't like the first Sartana. I didn't like it when I first saw it. I think maybe because I was expecting something different. But then I didn't like Menaja, A Man Called Blade, either, and I love that movie now. So, but I would say that with the Sartana films, that entire series is good. That there's not a single one in that series that's a dud, where I would be like, yeah, avoid that one. Let me run a little bit of the trailer here for the complete Sartana, which Arrow Video came out with a couple years ago.
Hard luck, mister. You shouldn't have poked your nose in this.
Better pray for your mortal soul. I'll pray for yours.
Yeah, before he kills people, he's always making these like pronouncements, these statements of impending doom, like "I am your pallbearer, I am your gravedigger."
yeah, the punchline.
If I tell you,
Yeah.
promise to let me go.
But yeah, Sartana is the first like spaghetti western superhero, I would say.
He realized that Sartana was such a big hit in Germany that he immediately took Gianni Garco under contract.
The use of the cloak and a draped over the
Yeah. That's one of the things I was saying earlier in the stream. Like, these movies are really hard to find. Like, these were never on TV when I was a kid. When I was a kid, like, the only spaghetti westerns that you could find were obviously the Sergio Leone movies and A Minute to Pray, A Second to Die, and The Mercenary with Franco Nero. That was pretty much it. Nothing else. So, like, these were movies I would read about, like, in a newsletter. It was called Westerns All Italiana, but you couldn't see these until, like, the Japanese laser discs came out, and then, like, you'd send away, like, $20 and you'd get, like, a VHS tape that was a rip of the Japanese laser disc, and it would have, like, hard-coded Japanese subtitles.
Wow.
Yeah.
shoulder.
I mean, that's why I'm always like, this is the best time ever to be like a horror fan. Also, the best time ever to be a spaghetti western fan.
That was not dissimilar to Christopher
I would
Lee's
say
Dracula
sci-fi too, because I've been able to watch old movies I've never been able to watch before.
Yes, and like stuff that you've heard about but never got a chance to see. That was never on the video store shelves. Was never on TV.
I never saw Star Crash before or Galaxina before.
Oh my god, I love Star Crash. Oh, I maintain that Star Crash is a legitimately good movie.
Yeah,
it's
and I like the robot cowboy or sheriff, or whatever. But he's
yeah. L,
which was the husband of the girl playing Monroe.
Oh my goodness, Caroline Munro, smoking hot in that. The outfits that she's wearing, those crazy outfits with like the thigh-high leather boots and everything. I love Star Crash. I think that's like legitimately. I think that's a legitimately good movie because it's sincere, and very much, not trying to stray from its comic book roots at all.
One of the same ones that I liked was the Battle Beyond Stars.
Oh yeah, which is a remake of Seven Samurai / Magnificent Seven.
Again,
that's
like I was saying before,
one.
samurais and freaking westerns.
Yep, and then of course you had the cross pollination, because what led to the invention of the spaghetti western as its own thing was the samurai movie Yojimbo by Akira Kurosawa. And what's really interesting is that movie changed the Italian Western so that they took on a flavor all their own. And then if you watch the samurai movies from the 70s, you could tell that they're largely inspired by the spaghetti westerns. So it's like a ball getting bounced around, back and forth, and like everybody does their own thing with it. Art is like that, mediums are like that. Rock and roll is like that. Comics are like that. Movies are like that. And it's always cool to see how people come up with their own interpretations, because the Western at this point had been pretty much, done. And then suddenly these came along and they were fresh and they were original and they breathed new life.
Like I said before, it's like, Star Wars was technically the Knights of the Round Table.
Oh, yeah, and Flash Gordon. And although what really made Star Wars such a big hit was the fact that it wasn't campy. I maintain that's like, if you look at the Flash Gordon movie, which I love, it's campy as hell.
Dude, I've always had trouble with that movie.
It's
especially when he starts fighting by playing football.
Yes. Well, it's silly.
Like
it's
the
campy.
visual, the idea is cool.
Yes.
The bad guy's awesome. I'll be frank, but everything else, it's so fucking stupid. It's not even funny.
Yeah. Once again, campy as fuck.
Okay, campy. Sorry.
Campy. Not taking itself even like seriously a little bit. And what made Star Wars work was that it took itself seriously, but not too damn seriously to the point where it wasn't fun. It's a balancing act, and the original Star Wars just did that brilliantly. Like the original Star Wars, that's like one of the few movies I could think of that like everybody liked. Mm-hmm. Like you couldn't find anybody that didn't like that movie.
Nah, you have people that only like Western and stuff like that don't like sci-fi. I remember those, but it's a very little number.
Yeah. I mean, when I say everyone, of course, I'm exaggerating, because Freddie Mercury famously said, "And I don't like Star Wars."
You only didn't like it because he was not in it,
right? And then what happens? A couple years later, he's singing "Flash."
Great soundtrack.
Oh, awesome! And I love that movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's
like Barbarella.
Right. It's very Italian. It's very, very it looks like, as a matter of fact, I think they wanted Mario Bava to direct Flash Gordon at one point. But he was like one of those guys that, like, when Hollywood came calling, he was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna like hang back here in my home and like make these like weird little horror movies." Like he was not tempted to like go to Hollywood.
Oh, the action and the fights were shit. I mean, I just be honest here.
Yeah.
The movie was fun and well shot. Like I used to get into it. I rewatched it not too long ago. I enjoyed the visuals.
The visuals are fantastic.
The intro is awesome.
The special effects are great.
Mm-hmm.
But
as soon as he starts fighting in foot.
It's stupid.
I'm done. You've ruined the immersion with that.
Right. Yeah.
Especially with the girl that's going, "Go Flash, go Flash, go," like a cheerleader. You're like,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Like I said, if it had taken itself just a little more, a lot more seriously, but then of course you have cases where the material is taken too seriously. That's when you get something like Ang Lee's Hulk.
And then you have people complaining about Carter from Mars, and I love it.
I didn't love it. It wasn't the John Carter movie that I always wanted to see, but it was all right. I was fine with it. I didn't leave the theater like, grumbling. I was like, that was all right. But then again, it's like, I don't necessarily expect to ever see, like, for instance, like the first Captain America movie. That's a perfectly fine movie. It's not the Captain America movie I always wanted, but
which one?
It's the first Captain America, the First Avenger. Like, okay,
you're talking the first one Chris Evans did, because it's not the first Captain America movie.
Oh no, not by a mile. They did old movie serials actually. with Captain
There's
America.
2 previous movies, yeah.
Well, more than 2 previous movies, because the movies that you're thinking of were the TV movies with Reb Brown, where he's driving the motorcycle and the shield is like plastic and see-through.
I never saw that one.
Oh, okay.
I saw the actual 2 first movies, like the one with the Red Skull, and there was another one.
Oh, the Albert Pune one. Yes. Which is wow.
Which I'm sorry, like story-wise, it was great, but
yes.
Effect-wise, not so great.
Well,
like it was really low budget, and it shows why it never really got released in a way.
It's a perfect companion piece. That Captain America movie is the perfect companion piece to the Fantastic Four movie that was shot, the Roger Corman one that was shot and never released.
Oh, I saw that one too.
Right. Where you watch it and you're like, the Fist of the North Star movie is like this too, where it's like you can tell
I think that's mean what you're trying to do. You're trying to compare the Captain America to that Fantastic Four movie. Like, I'm sorry, like Fantastic Four movie was horrible.
No. What I mean is I think the people who made it had their heart in the right place. They just didn't have the budget. Where it's like, if they had bigger budgets, they could have made if not great films, at least good films.
True.
And of course,
but Corman also like reused the same freaking scenes from Battle Beyond the Star and 25 other movies.
Yeah, he did. Oh God, Forbidden World. It's like it opens up with like scenes from Beyond
Space
Battle Beyond the
Raider.
Stars.
Everything's always the same freaking thing from Battle Beyond the Stars. You went with Battle Beyond the Star, it was a hit, then he reused everything from it.
Well, you know why he did that? It's not because it was a hit. It was because he spent more money than he had ever spent on a movie before. And Roger Corman was famous for being able to stretch a damn dollar.
Yeah, but it's also it was the last special effects you got from not Carpenter, the other one. I always mix them up.
John Dykstra?
No, the guy that just did Avatar.
Oh, James Cameron.
So James Cameron used to work for Corman, and that was one of the last jobs he did for him was on that, and then he reused his special effects multiple times.
Yeah, remember on the Horror Movie Club we did Galaxy of Terror?
Yep, that was also him.
Right, that was also him, and he
stole the costumes from technically the equipment. It's the same equipment from the Space Marines, what they call the Colonial Marines.
Yep. Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things that got him the job for Aliens was that he could, was obviously the Terminator, and the fact that the Terminator was made for like $4 million and it didn't look like it. Certainly Aliens, I think, was made for like 20, and it looked like it was made for at least 50. At that time. Now it would be like, I don't know that I think Hollywood has a tendency to like inflate these budgets. I don't know that they're actually spending $200 million to make a freaking movie.
When they talk about budget, they talk about the advertisement. Also, right. It's not just about the money they put in making the movie. It's also how much they're going to invest in the advertisement, how much they're going to give to McDonald's for those Happy Meal.
Yeah. Which is well, like with John Carter, there was no push behind that at all.
No, and it was. And I'm sorry, like to his. There's a lot of stuff about it that I think that should not have been done. Like, it could have been done better and stuff like that. But in overall, that movie was great compared to a whole bunch of fucking other movies or adaptation. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, okay, there's some problems about it. Like, I didn't like the human setup was a bit too much. Like, they should have just like went with the Mars thing.
Chuck Dixon pointed out that the biggest mistake in that movie is that it opens on Mars. And that what you want to do is you want to discover Mars as John Carter a hero is discovering Mars.
But then they tried to do a big setup with the human side and to try to put it too much into the thing where they technically shot themselves in the foot for possible sequels or even opening the eyes of other people, and that killed the interest of trying to find out more about that said universe on Mars.
And Deja Thoris was wearing far too many clothes.
And damn, she was hot though.
She was hot. Yeah, she was hot, but she was terribly overdressed. You know, it's hot on her suit.
Dude, that's just hot. That's just nitpicky.
I know.
She was still half naked. And
yeah. No, yeah. No,
she looked like a belly dancer.
Yeah. Smoking. Yeah, definitely. Hot enough to play Deja Thoris, but you know.
But yeah, I get it. Like, if you wanted it to be like accurate to the novel, she would have been just in underwear.
Yeah, man.
And Spentex underwear, and that's it.
Yep. Yeah, and those novels are just a hell of a lot of fun to read. I'm always amazed at how those novels hold up.
I was happy that they didn't do like what they usually do with movies, where they take out the aliens and always put humans. That was fucking annoying.
Oh God.
So that's what I like about that movie so much, to be quite honest. And the dog is fucking awesome.
Yes.
And the fact that they put the dog in there, which is the inspiration for what was it? Luck. The freaking the dog with the freaking sound thing on his forehead with what's the name of them? By Kirby there. I'll go get the book. The Inhumans.
What? Oh,
remember the big dog in the Inhumans?
Yeah.
That was totally taken from the Lockjaw. Yeah, that was totally taken from fucking the novels of fucking John Carter, and I love the fact they put him in there, and that was fucking awesome. The fact that he also goes at super speed.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, well, for sure. That movie did a lot of things right. It's just sad that Disney just dumped it like they.
Oh did. Yeah. It went like, wait, what movie?
Right. Yeah.
You guys made a John Carter. What? When did we?
Right, but then it's like, why even release it theatrically then? It's just, I don't know. Disney's all fucked up. And that was Disney, wasn't it? Yeah,
yes, it was.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's the same thing I feel with Valerian.
You know, I was watching some of that the other day. Is that worth watching?
I love that movie.
Okay.
Like seriously, like it's the same. I have the same type of like little pet peeve. Like the only problem with the movie, is the two lead actors.
Oh,
they have no chemistry, and they should not have been casted for those roles at all. Like,
isn't that interesting?
At all. And they changed the characters from being like two positive people, you know, like completing each other, like best friends, like no real sexual tension, but you know they're gonna end up together, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
To the guy that's like, I want to marry you. Oh no, you have a bad book, you fuck everybody, you can't be trusted, but I really want to marry you. No, you're just a misogynist and this and that, and he gets cucked all along. And but that said, the entire story, the world, everything, the world building, the everything is fucking awesome.
Looks like a French science fiction comic.
Yeah, it's a French comic book, dude. It's Valerian's based on a comic, but the only thing is, it's like imagine if instead of having because Valerian inspired Han Solo and Princess Leia and the freaking thing, right? I'm not. Some people say he ripped them off, but me, I'll just go like this. It's obviously that they were inspired. He was inspired by that comic book. Okay. Right. And the thing is, imagine if you had Princess Leia being an actual bitch all the fucking time, and the other one trying to go, "I love you, I love you, I love you," and she's like, "You're a misogynist. Yeah, death. You don't realize how great I am."
Oh God!
So that's the entire thing. They have no chemistry. Like, you know, it's like they dated and they hated each other.
Oh God!
Like you technically have that vibe.
That's interesting. It's always interesting when you see negative chemistry. You know, and sometimes when that chemistry is there, and you're like, yo.
You know, it's like, imagine if The Fifth Element, instead of having like Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich, we had Bruce Willis and Demi Moore after they divorced.
That doesn't sound like fun at all.
So you get my drift? Like, you know, the movie would have been awesome, would have been great, but there's no chemistry. They hate each other. Like they couldn't stand each other back then. You know what I mean?
Right. But also the actors didn't have chemistry.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's because I always find that interesting when that happens. Like in Sleepy Hollow, the lack of chemistry between Christina Ricci and Johnny Depp it's just glaring.
Yeah, but the movie is fucking awesome.
It is.
That's my point I'm trying to say with Valerian. It's like it's a really good trip because it's a sci-fi, the world building. Dude, I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. We should probably set it up and watch it tonight, me and you.
Ooh.
Just set up on the thing and we meet up on Discord or something and go watch a movie.
That sounds good.
I really like it. I love the intro too.
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, I kind of like. Did I watch the intro? I know I kind of. You know what I did is I took a peek.
It's start control to Major Tom, and then then you see they build a space station around the thing. The song keeps going, and then you see every people from around the world, like the Russians and everybody, starts going to the space station. They bring their own little thing. Then it keeps going with the song, and then you see the first alien coming on, and then they greet them, and then they start building a freaking like little space station. Keeps growing, being becoming too big that they have to send it away from the planet because it's going to destroy the planet, destabilize it. So they send it, but it's a world that built themselves with technology and a mix of all aliens that just came to just join everything. That's the premise of the entire thing. That's how it starts in like 5 minutes. You get that within 5 minutes of the movie.
That sounds rad. Because I took a peek at it, but I did what I normally do, which is I jumped to maybe the 20-minute point. And I think the characters were on a beach or something like that.
Yeah,
having a little witty repartee.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's when you get that. That's the point that you get. You're like, that doesn't work. And I don't know why they keep trying to freaking push that actress on everybody. Like she just sucks.
Who is that?
She even played the witch in freaking Suicide Squad with. Every time they put her somewhere, she sucks.
Well,
I don't know her name, and then she's ugly. She's cute. She just sucks.
There's has negative charisma.
She's so filled with hatred she can't even smile and look sincere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's always terrible. Yeah. Oh,
it's obvious, and you shouldn't be an actor if you can't freaking do that. Like, come on.
Right. If I totally agree.
Sartana has the same problem, or
There, I mean, look, there are certain
or it's
actors.
Like imagine somebody you're trying to put somebody in a role to look badass, and every time he tries to look mean, he looks like a clown.
Oh yeah, well, he looks kind of like a poor man's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Didn't he play the Green Goblin in
Yep.
Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yep, you did. Yep. He's not a bad actor. That's the thing.
No.
It's just there's no
was
chemistry. There's no chemistry, and it doesn't. And the way that they wrote that's freaking let's just leave it misogynist, sexist, centrist, whatever it is, misandrist, and everything. Everything's mixed in there, and that doesn't feel right. But the movie's fucking awesome. And at the point, it's like you're just enjoying them fighting. You know what I mean? It's like watching two idiots fighting.
Yes. And that's always fun. Yeah, that's Luc Besson.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I will.
It's I'm a big fan of the Lockout movie. Lockout.
I like that too. A
lot of people didn't like it. I freaking love it. And
I thought it was fun.
You got sued by Carpenter, and Carpenter won.
Really?
Yeah, because it was technically a ripoff of his fucking Escape from LA. Escape from New York had an original scene in it that was cut that you can find on the web on YouTube, where the entire scene of the mallet and shoving the mallet into the train, and he gets caught.
Yeah.
It was all in American New York. It was in the original intro. So that's the premise of the entire movie.
Of course.
The character is fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And the character wasn't... but then you look at something
Especially
like Doomsday.
When he gets interrogated.
Yes, that's a great scene. But I think of something like Doomsday. That's a movie mashup, right? That's just taking Mad Max, Escape from New York. The heroine in that is basically like a female Snake Plissken. She's even missing an eye, right? And sporting an eye patch in at least one scene.
I mean, I think that's why nobody really remembers that movie. It's not bad. It's just
Yeah, no, I mean it's got a little bit of aliens. It's got Mad Max, the
it's
Warriors.
Like Cyborg. Cyborg's a good movie, but nobody remembers it. Why? Because it came out and had the same feel of a lot of movies back then. You can mix that movie up with freaking Cherry 2000.
Yeah. Except you know, you got Van Damme in there too. It's one of my favorite Van
Yeah, but
Damme movies.
I know it's one of mine too. But let's be honest, movie wise, when you're watching it, it does have the same feel that they could all be in a shared universe. That was one of the problems
Oh, for sure,
when they started doing those type of things for a while. The same thing with spaghetti western. You're like, you're watching a movie and you're like, "Where's Clint Eastwood?" Oh, that's another movie. Really?
Right.
Yeah, like you're always expecting Clint Eastwood to come out of the door or something. I'm joking, people, but that it's just an idea. Like, you know,
yeah,
like they're so similar that you're like, so Clint Eastwood's gonna come out with that fucking bulletproof thing, right? No, that's another movie. That's another guy. Okay, fine.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's why you'd get like poor man's versions of actors, like
Yes.
what's his face?
But it's like Cassell is technically the French version of Clint Eastwood.
Really?
That's how they treat him over there.
Really?
He's the cowboy. He's always been that guy, yeah.
Interesting.
Or you know, like Hugh Jackman is also the Clint Eastwood type.
Johnny Halliday was like the Elvis.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, he was actually in a spaghetti. Called The Professionals. Yeah, I'm not sure which film I'll do next, but next week I'm definitely going to. I don't know. Maybe I'll pick something that isn't from the spaghetti horror subgenre. Maybe I'll pick another Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill movie.
Yeah, hit me up so I know.
Okay, absolutely. Hell's yeah. All right, we've been going for 2 hours. Time to peace out. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. Sim, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
You can find me anywhere under Sim Inkslayer. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, and stuff like that, everywhere. And please go check out Delson and Adverse too. Go give it some love. First 200 backers of a physical book gets a free sketch card. It's like free shipping.
Hell yeah. Can't beat that.
Nope. And you know, there's a limited ashcan there that everybody should want. Comes with a sketch, hand numbered, sign, and stuff like that. Very, very collectible. And there's also a mini Nat bullet there that's a prototype. So if you want to go get it, because it's not gonna be the mini is not gonna be available after funding at all.
Yeah. If you snooze, you lose.
Yep.
Be a winner, not a wiener.
Because it's always the same. Always people are like, "Do you still have fun?" I'm like,
always.
Cool. And I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah, that's when people were like hitting me up for that Preston cover. Like, "Oh, you got that?" I'm just like, "No." Or like, "Yes, but I'm not sending it to you, right? I still have a couple, you know, that I'm gonna like, you know, save to like give to Preston, so you know he could use those at a con or something like that." But I'm not like, because you know, you make a promise to your customers that you know there's a cutoff point, and after that cutoff point, people can't buy it. I still have some copies I could maybe give away.
But no, you could sell it, but more expensive. You put it on your website, like $5 or 10 more, and that's it.
You don't think that would be shady? I feel like that would be shady.
You have extra. What do you think people expect you to destroy them?
That's a good point.
No, to be quite honest,
my campaign could use the kick in the ass right now.
Just go put it up for like, I don't know, $5 extra. You go, you snooze, you lose. You want it? It's $5. That's the only first printing there is, and that's it.
The other thing I got to do is get my my website going, because I feel like a douchebag for still not having like sixgungorilla.com or you know, twofistedcomics.com or something.
We made you a little promotional spot on the Inkslayer there.
Did you really?
Yeah, if you go check on the website, we're promoting your campaign.
No shit.
Yeah, Preston's an Inkslayer.
Oh, that's right. Hell yeah. Oh man, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. Okay. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We will talk to you next week. And I'm not sure which movie we'll be doing, but we'll be doing another spaghetti western. And
Bud Spencer.
But more likely than not, it will have Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill. Until then, folks, peace, love,